Welcome to this summary session of the ninth Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Gita. We start with the gratitude to the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. We pay our respects to the Guru Parampara, through which this knowledge is preserved and transferred for generations. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Puja Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and share this understanding with you. We shall start with a prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So ninth Adhyaya, as you know, is a Raja Vidya Raja Guhya Yoga, and it starts with Lord who wants to say many things to Arjuna, in contrast to the third, fifth and the seventh Adhyaya, where these Adhyayas start with Arjuna's question. The subject matters of the previous Adhyayas have been knowledge, karma, but in this Adhyaya, though there is Raja Vidya is the main subject knowledge, but there is a lot of description of the Lord who describes the devotion, bhakti towards the Lord. So let us see these three words, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhya and Yoga. Raja Vidya means it signifies the Atma Jnana, which is also called Brahma Jnana or Brahma Vidya, which is the goal for all the human beings, because the material existence given to us for our human life is meant to attain the divinity. And this knowledge itself is Raja Guhya. It is a king of all the secrets. It's a profound, it's a hidden secret which is not exposed to everyone. Everybody are not able to understand this. And there are several ways to attain this. That is the yoga, the solution, the upaya, to connect to the divine. There are several ways and means, out of which Jnana, Karma and Bhakti are the three pradhan, most important main sadhana for Atma Jnana, which have been described very descriptively in the Bhagavad Gita, all these three sadhanas. And ultimately then the idea is to attain to this Jnana. Through Jnana, we have to remove our Jnana, the ignorance, and attain moksha, the mukti or freedom, liberation, which is the ultimate goal of human existence. So let's start the first mantra. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyamyanasuyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajgnatva mokshase shubhat. So the Lord Krishna starts speaking. He says this knowledge, idam, this knowledge, this is talking about the Atma Jnana. He says it is guhyatama. It is very secretive. It is an ultimate secret because very few people can understand. And I am going to tell you this same secret thing, Pravakshamana. Why am I going to tell you? Because you are Ansuya way. Anasuya means it is thinking bad about other people or having bad, vices. It's a kind of a vice. It is similar to envy, though it's not classical of envy, but it is seeing dosha in others' guna. So if other has any virtues, if we see the bad parts or try to, insult somebody, then it is ansuya. So those people are not eligible for this Atma Jnana. But here Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that you are anasuya. That's why I'm going to tell you Gnanam Vijnana Sahitam. So Gnana along with Vijnana. Vijnana means it can be assimilated or it can be realized and it can be put into our life so that it can be useful to us. And it says Yajgnatva, by knowing which you will mokshashe ashubhat. So whatever is inauspicious, ashubh, you will be delivered from all this and you will reach moksha, which is the ultimate goal of the human existence. Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitramidam Uttamam Pratyakshagagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. So Lord Krishna says, this is a Raja Vidya, it is a king of all the knowledge. It is a Raja Guhya, it is a best kept secret, it is like a king of all secrets. It is Pavitram. This knowledge is very pious because it will clear all the papas in the person in whom he is able to get this. Actually, it is eligibility. Shuddha Antakaran is the main eligibility for the Atma Jnana. So where there is papa, this Atma Jnana would not come. But then this has to be cleared first, and whatever remains will be cleared by the Atma Jnana. And it is the best, it is the Uttamam, it is the highest form of all knowledge because it is the basis of the all knowledge. It is Pratyaksha Avagamam, means it is can be realized directly by the person. It cannot be experienced with Paroksha, that means Idam, as you or as this, but it can be experienced as Aham, I. I can directly Anubhav or experience this kind of a Pratyaksha Anubhav can be done, and it is Dharmyam, it is related to Dharma, related to Shastras, it is related to righteousness, it is Susukham Kartum, means it can be easily attainable. It is easily attainable for the people who are eligible for this kind of a jnana, who have this kind of antakarana which is Shuddha, in whom they do all the sadhana, prayatna, and they have the grace of the Lord. They have a guru, they know the scriptures, they learn the scriptures, they do abhyasa, those who have vairagya, those who have viveka. So all these sadhan chatushtya sampatti, if one has, then it is susukham kartum, it is easily attainable, and this is eternal, avyaya. This knowledge does not change over generations, over thousands of years. This knowledge is eternal, it is changeless, it does not change, and that's why that is the beauty of this Bhagavad Gita and this Jnana, that it is the same in spite of thousands of years have passed, it cannot be changed. So Raja Vidya basically means it is the king of all knowledge, it is the basis and the master of all knowledge because it helps us to relieve from all our worldly afflictions like misery, sorrow, death, which is Ashubhat, and it gives us the ultimate peace, satisfaction, trupti, because it makes us understand our real Atma Swarupa. It is Raja Guhya because it's a best kept secret. Everybody is not able to know it. Why? Because we as human beings are more Bahirmukha. By our natural tendency, our mana is all, Indriya, they are Bahirmukha, even the man goes along with the Indriya. We don't have much self-control, and that's why we are all completely absorbed in the Vishaya, all the objects of this world, and that's why we are not able to go deep inside. In this spiritual journey, we have to go inside us, and that's why it is a Guhya Jnana. Also, this Jnana needs the help of a Guru, a learned Guru, Tattvanishta and a Brahmanishta Guru, and it needs regular abhyasa of the scriptures, and it needs a Guru who has learned these scriptures from the Parampara, because that Guru can give us the proper, the meaning of all these shlokas and can connect all the dots for us so that we can see the whole picture, what the Shastras is trying to tell us. So this kind of, attainment is also not very common, and that's why this is called Guhyatama Jnana. Ashraddhadhana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Aprapya Mam Nivartante Mrityu Sansara Vartmani. So here Lord Krishna talks about Shraddha, Ashraddhadhana Purusha. Those people who do not have faith in the scriptures, in the God, what happens to them? They remain in this sansara. That's what it says. Aprapya Mam Nivartante. They cannot attain me. And Mrityu Sansara Vartmani. They keep rotating, coming back again, coming back again to this mortal world, sansara, and cannot be liberated from this sansara. So faith is a very, very important, attribute for the sadhaka, because Shraddha is considered to be important on this path, path of liberation or Atma Jnana, because this is an unknown path. We are not aware about what we cannot see. Words and things like Atma, Paramatma, Brahma, Ishvara, these are the things we are not very clear about. That clarity is not in us. We can't see it, and that's why we have heard a lot of things. Some people say Ishvara is in the temple, stays in the temple. Some people say he is in the idol. Some people say Bhagavan Sarvatra hai. Some people say Bhagavan is unseen. It cannot be seen. So all these different khyal or perceptions we have. And that's why we need the help of a Guru, we need the help of a Shastra, but we also need that faith that behind this beautiful creation, the way it works, there has to be a creator who is more intelligent than the creation, so as to create this beautiful creation. So these are some of the contradictions between our perceptions or misperceptions and the reality. We believe that what we see is the reality, but our Shastras tell us that what we don't see, what we cannot see, that is the reality. Everything else is like an illusion. And we can only see this Sthul Jagata, the mortal or the gross world, the gross bodies and things like that. But we don't generally think about the Sukshma Jagata, the Sukshma Shariras, the Mana, Buddhi, how they work, the energies, and how all these works. In our routine life, we understand that the more I achieve, the more I gain. But on a spiritual path, the more I give, the more I achieve. So here it's a path of Vairagya. We have to shed off all our misconceptions, our wrong perceptions, our notions. We have to shed off a lot of our layers to actually go to the root of our own self. So there we must have that kind of a faith to accept what our Shastra is telling us. At least initially we must have that faith. Then of course we don't have to blindly accept it. We can question, we can try and understand, we can do abhyasa and try to see how we can apply this in our life. And only if we have faith, we'll have an open mind and we look for the truth, what our Shastras and our Guru is trying to tell us. So faith in Guru, faith in the Shastras and faith in Vedanta, Gitaji is very, very important on this path. And from the fourth shloka, Lord Krishna starts his Updesha of the Raja Vidya, what he has already said in the first shloka that I am going to tell you, that was a pledge. Now he starts the description of what is that Vidya. He says, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani na chaham teshvavastitah. So here he says, Maya tatam idam sarvam, everything, the entire world, idam sarvam, Maya tatam, is all pervaded by me. I am there everywhere. Everywhere you can see me in every kshan, in a pad, in a kan, everywhere I am pervaded. And how is he pervaded everywhere? He says, Jagat avyakta murtina. I am pervaded in this world in my unmanifest form, which is the Nirguna Swarupa of the Bhagavan, which is also called Brahma. And in this avyakta murtina, he says, I am everywhere. Matsthani sarva bhutani, all the beings are within me. He says, Nachaham teshvavastita, but I am not in them, because Bhagavana Ishvara is the nimitta upadana karana of all the jivas. So all the beings arise from him, and that's why they are within him. That's what he says here, that they are all in me. But Ishvara is not dependent on this jiva, because jiva are the part of the creation. That is, Ishvara is completely independent of this creation, and that's why he says, I am not in them. So all the beings are within me, but I am not in them. And God is trying to tell us that I am there everywhere in this universe. Even though you can't see me because I am in my unmanifest Swarupa. And that's how we have to try and understand how God is behind all these names and forms that we see in this world every day in and out. How we can see Lord everywhere. So that is what are the next few adhyayas all about. Lord Krishna is going to tell us about his Paramarthik Swarup, original Swarupa. Also he will tell us about all the Vibhutis. And then in the next shloka he says completely contradictory thing. He says, Nachamat sthani bhutani pashyame yoga maishwaram bhuta brunnacham bhutasto mamatma bhuta bhavana. So he says, all the beings are not in me. In the previous shloka he says, all beings are in me. Matsthani sarva bhutani. Now he says, Nacha matsthani bhutani pashyame yoga maishwaram. You see my Aishwarya, you see my glory, Arjuna. You will be astonished. You see my mystic divinity and you see my yoga. Bhuta brunna. I am the cause of all the birth of all the beings. I sustain all the beings. Bhutasta, they remain in me. And then they are, they dissolve also in me. But I am still not in all the beings, he says. So that is what Lord Krishna is trying to tell us, Mamatma Bhuta Bhavana. So basically, these two previous shlokas are part of a process of Vedanta inquiry to understand our true nature, true self. Matsthani Sarva Bhutani means all beings are within me. It is kind of an Adhyaropa and Aropa. Aropa is essentially, it is like an, it's like an illusion, or it is said that this is said from a different perspective. And then when Lord says, Nachamat sthani bhutani, all beings are not in me, that is apavada, means here is trying to tell us that what is his Nirguna, Nirakar Swarupa, all beings are not in me, he is completely unattached. In the first, when he says all beings are within me, he is talking about the Saguna Sakar Swarupa, or he is talking about the Saguna Nirakar Swarupa of the Ishvara who creates this creation. So here he says all beings are within me because there is a Karya Karana Sambandha between the creation and the creator. And with this he says all beings are within me. So this is essentially a drashti bheda, a change in the vision. How when we have when we see the waves, we feel that this is part of the ocean. When we see this froth, we also see that it's a part of the ocean. But actually, it is not different from the ocean by the water. It is the substance, the water. Everything is just the waves, froth. Everything is just one. And the similar example is given as Ghatakasha, the space within the pot and the space outside the pot. Just because of this upadhi, that pot, our drashti is seen on this upadhi, on this pot, and that's why we feel that the space inside is different than the space outside, the Mahakasha. But essentially there is no difference between these two spaces. So this is the way to remove our impurities, our ajnana. Yatha kashastito nityam vayu sarvatra go mahan tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani tyupadharaya. So here Lord Krishna gives an example of the sky and the wind, and is trying to explain what is the relation between Ishvara and the Jagata. He says, just as abundant wind is in the sky, essentially it's not in the sky but it's in the space. Akasha in our scriptures means space, and it blows everywhere. Sarvatra go mahan. Similarly, all the beings are within me. He says, Matsthani upadharaya. Iti upadharaya means firmly know that Sarvani Bhutani, all the beings are within me. He says, Matsthani Sarva Bhutani. So this is how Lord Krishna is trying to explain his Ishvara Swarupa. Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya Prakrutin Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshaye Punasthani Kalpadau Visrujamyaham. So here also Lord Krishna is talking about that Ishvara Swarupa, how at the end of the universe, all the beings dissolve into my Prakruti. Prakruti means Maya, because the question can come up how a Nirgun, Paramatma, Brahma can produce this world, how this creation can come out from the Nirguna. There is no Guna, but here how the world is formed. So here Vedanta explains that Brahma takes the help of Maya, though Maya is under the control of the Brahma, but whenever Maya is summoned, Maya comes, and from the Lord's order, the creation is created. So at the end, so Lord Krishna says, at the beginning of the universe, I create all the beings, Kalpakshaye Punasthani Kalpadau Visrujamyaham. So this is what I keep on doing, Sarva Bhutani, for all the beings, he says. And this is how we have to understand that Brahma, which is Nirguna, Nirakar, takes help of Maya to form, to be Saguna Ishvara. And from this Ishvara, the Srushti, Utpatti, Pralaya and Sthiti, everything happens with this Ishvara. Prakrutim swamavashtabhya visrujami punah punaha bhutagram mimam krutsnam avasham prakrutir vashat. So here it says, by controlling my Maya, Prakriti is Maya essentially, Vashtabhya visrujami, I create again and again, punah, all these bhutagramam imam krutsnam, all these living beings, the jivas, I create, but they are avasham prakrute vashat. They have no control over the Maya, just like Brahma has a control over the Maya, but Maya controls all the jivas. So the jivas are avasha, they are under the vasha, they are under the spell of the Maya, and that's why Ishwar is a Swatantra, is independent, whereas Jiva is dependent on the Maya, he is Partantra. Nacha mam tani karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya udasina vadasinam nasaktam teshu karmasu. So God is not affected by karma phala, and he is a akarta swarupa. That is what Lord Krishna is trying to say. He says, I do all this as Ishvara, I create the Srushti. Whenever there is at the end of the kalpa, I dissolve the Srushti. But all these actions do not bind me in any way. Why? Because I am udasinam. Udasinam asinam. Udasinavat asinam means I have risen above all them and I sit there. Completely I am asaktam, I am unattached to all these karmasu. Teshu karmasu means I am unattached to all my actions, and that's why all these don't bind me. So Udasinavat asinam means I have risen above, I sit above, and I am unattached to all my actions. Essentially means that Bhagavan does not have any raga, dvesha, any strong likes, dislikes. He does not take any sides. He is neutral. He is a sakshi. He is an observer. And most of the bandhana that we see in our life is because of asakti. That is the too much of love, attachment. All this creates asakti. And this asakti can come during the karma and after the karma that is over, when we are going to expect the karma phala. So during the karma, the kartrutva, the ahankar of our own self, that I am the doer, that binds us to the fruit. And it is our attitude while doing the karma, why we are doing the karma. Is it for selfish gain? Is it for selfless purpose? That also binds us to the karma. And then after the karma is over, or even when the karma is still going on, we always think of the karma phala. What am I going to get by doing all these actions? And this bhoga, what I want, the sense pleasures, are the ones that bind us, because those create either a better expectation or a lesser expectation. Depending on that, they create either a raga or a dvesha, and these are the ones that keep binding us. So it is only the knowledge that leads us from bondage to freedom. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetu nanyena kaunteya jagadvi parivartate. So here Lord Krishna is trying to tell us how we can remain udasina after he creates the creation. He says, in my presence, my sakshi, Maya creates this world, sacharacharam, jada and chetana, which is made up of both. And for this reason, everything keeps changing in this world. He says, oh Kaunteya, because of this, all these, Srushti, Utpatti, Laya, everything happens for this reason. So it's a man behind the machine, the Chetana, which is very important behind all the Jada, the man behind the machine. Similarly, behind our own, human body, our mind, our intellect, it is the Atma Chaitanya, the Tattva, which is the Chetan Tattva, which is the, that is the main, most important thing, because that is how this, the Chetan of the body is known. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam jananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. So here Lord Krishna is trying to tell us that his real original Swarupa, very few people know. He says mudha, those who are ignorant, those who are aviveki, those who do not think, those who do not have the discriminative intellect, those who are in the vasha of moha, maya, and are muda. Those ignorant people, he says, don't know me. And how do they understand me? He says they believe that I am this manushim tanum ashritam, means I am limited to this human form. He says the avatara swarupa of the incarnate. Param bhavama ajananto. They don't know my real self, my real swarupa. He says mama bhuta maheshwaram. I am the Lord of all the beings. But these people, muda purush, they don't know that I am the Lord of all the beings, and they believe that I am this one incarnate form limited to this body. And the root cause of these mood purusha is the moha and the maya, that is ajnana, that causes all this mudata. Moghasha mogha karmano mogha jnana vichetasaha rakshasim masurim chaiva prakrutim mohini shritaha. So here again Lord Krishna is talking about the mood people, how they have useless desires. Mogha asha, they keep thinking about different selfish things about the jagata, and they have many desires of these sensual pleasures which they see in this world. They have mogha karmana, their actions are also selfish for their own aggrandizement or for their bhoga, for the sense pleasures. Their knowledge is also useless because they don't think much. They believe that they are going to get the happiness from these objects of this world, and they act without giving proper thoughts. So that's why they are more impulsive. They act because of their emotions. They have raksasim and asurim vritti. They are very rude, they are very crude behavior. They try to give pain, miseries to other people. They don't have daya. or compassion, karuna. They have asurim vritti. They are always in the moha, maya, sensual pleasures. They always want to enjoy these things. And they are surrendered to the moha, maya, which leads to delusion, moha and bandhana. And that's why Lord Krishna in the 7th Adhyaya has already said, Maya tetam tarantite, Maya, mama Maya duratyaya. And only one who can take the shelter of the Lord, he can get away from this Maya. There is no other way to get away from this Maya. Next shloka. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakrutim ashritaha bhajantya nanya manaso gnatva bhutadim avyayam. So here Lord Krishna is talking about the other people. Previously in the 2 shloka he talked about the mood purusha, the ignorant or the unwise person. Here now he is talking about Mahatma, the great people. He says Mahatmanaha tu. Tu means the pakshantara, the other side. The other people, the great people, O Partha, they are Daivim Prakrutim Ashritaha. They surrender to good values. All the Daivi Prakruti, Shama Adi Shat Sampatti or the Adambitvam, Amanitvam that Lord Krishna is going to talk about in the 16th Adhyaya. So all these Daivi Sampatti, they try to attain and surrender to those values. They bhajanti mam ananya manasaha. He says they worship me with a single pointed devotion, ananya bhakti, and gnatva bhut adim avyayam. They know me as eternal, avyayam, that I am the changeless Lord, and I am bhut adi. Adi of bhut means I am the source of all the beings. That is how they know me. So bhakti are of different types. Most of the times you understand bhakti as only saguna bhakti, where we devote, make prayers, give some offering, or do puja, arti, nama, japa of the Lord in some kind of form, name and form, either an idol or a photo frame. Or so here this is a saguna bhakti. The other way of doing bhakti is Ishvara bhakti. So Ishvara, saguna, but nirakara, sakara, in different forms in this world, as Vibhuti Swarupa in different, as Lord Krishna is going to describe in this Adhyaya also. Next Adhyaya is completely devoted to Vibhuti Yoga. As Antaryami, as our conscious, inner conscious, which gives us the voice. Virata Swarupa in this world. Vishwarupa as the entire universe, Sthula as well as Sukshma. Nimitta Upadana Karana, as the Lord is the Nimitta and the Upadana Karana. Lord as a Karma Dhyaksha, as he sees all the karma, and Karma Phaladata, through which his system, this entire karma phala, everything, with this system everybody gets a karma phala. And the other way of doing bhakti is Nirguna Bhakti. Nirguna Bhakti is Dhyana Chintana of the Nirgun Nirakar Swarupa of the Lord. It is also the Swaswarupa, the self, Swarupa of our own self. And this is done with the Aikya Bhava by the Jignasu or the Sadhaka. So these are all the different ways of doing bhakti. And Lord Krishna is now describing how we can devote to him. What are the ways of doing bhakti? He says, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha drada vrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. So he says, Satatam kirtayantam mam. He is always involved in my nam, japa, chanting, bhajana, kirtana, and he is yatantataha. Yatantataha means he is always doing what is needed to be done. He puts in all the efforts, he does his purushartha, prayatna, yatna. So all these he does dradavrataha, with a very firm resolve, the discipline that he is, that this determined that this is my goal, to attain the Lord, and he will make all attempts to reach that goal. Namasyanta chamam, he surrendered to me, always has a gratitude, ahobhava, with the Lord, that whatever is happening is because of the grace of the Lord. And his bhaktya upasate, is devoted to me with dedication, with bhakti bhava, and his nitya yukta upasate, he worships me with the control over his own self, with the samahita yukta, nitya yukta, with his indriya, mana and buddhi control and sanyama, he devotes to me. And what are the benefits of devotion, bhakti in our life? So there are many benefits of bhakti. If we connect to the divine, we accept his greatness, we develop a right kind of an understanding, samajhdari of this world, and this understanding helps us to be accepting. We know that a lot of things are beyond my control, and I'm able to accept all these different difficult circumstances that come up in my life, and I accept gracefully all the situation without complaining, without disturbing my peace of mind. And this, otherwise, most of the times, whenever there is some difficulty, miseries, or sorrows come to our life, we become very miserable. We try to blame people, we blame the circumstances, we try to blame even God. Often we blame for our circumstances. Bhakti also helps us to lessen and reduce our ego, our pride, makes us more humble, and it is completely life changing because it can change our life, it can transform our life and make us much more, softer, humbler, and more peaceful. ज्ञानयज्ञेन चाप्यन्ये यजन्तो मामुपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्त्वेन बहुधा विश्वतो मुखम. So here Lord Krishna is talking about another form of worship of the divine. It's a Jnana Yagnena, the Jnana Sadhana, and how it can be done in different ways. It describes Ekatvena. Ekatvena means with an understanding of oneness with the Lord. So that is the Aikya Bhavana. Second is Pruthakttvena, or else it is the devotees, the Bhakta. They do this devotion, they do this Bhakti with the Bheda Bhava, difference. That Lord is the Swami and I am the Sevaka. So I am the Dasa Bhava, that is the Bhakti that is done with this Pruthakttvena. And the third it says is Api Anye Bahuda Vishwato Mukham. Some others, they worship me as all pervading in this world, as a Vishwarupa. So these are the different ways we can do worship of the divine. And now from onwards, this 16th shloka, Lord Krishna describes his Vibhuti. Vibhutis is his glories in different areas. How we can see Lord everywhere. We have to start somewhere. So we have to see in some Vishesha, some special areas. He shows where we can see the Lord and start thinking about the Lord everywhere in the world. So here Lord Krishna describes a lot of times. He says aham, 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 I am this, I am this, I am this. But this does not smell of ego when the Lord speaks like this, because his aham is sarva vyapaka, it is shuddha, it is very pious, very clean. And in contrast to our aham, when we do something, we say I have done this, I have done this great thing. So our I is very limited and it is not shuddha, because we want to show that we are great inside, and that's how it smells of pride and ego. Most of the times the other person will be able to smell that. Aham kratuhu, aham yagnaha. So Lord Krishna says I am in all the forms of the yagna. Yagna is essentially karma. So wherever there is any action, any karma, Lord Krishna says I am there. Swadha aham, I am the oblation. Aushadam, I am the medicinal plants. Mantra aham, ajyam, all the ingredients of the yagna. I am aham agni, the fire of the yagna, and aham hutam means I am the act of the obeisance, ahuti, which is given in the yagna. So Lord Krishna essentially tells us that I am in all the forms in the yagna. You should see me while do all your karmas, in all your actions. You should see me everywhere as the material object or the subject or the thing that you are creating or doing, or as the act or as the attitude. As everything you should try to see me. And that's what Lord Krishna is telling to explain us. Pitahamasyam jagato mata thata pitamaha Vedyam pavitram omkara ruksamaya jurevacha. So he says, Pitaham asya jagato mata. I am the father and the mother of this world, he says. And I am the dhata. Dhata means I am the sustainer. And I am pitamaha, the grandfather too, he says. Because our parents in this life, they are only for this life. Whereas Lord is our parent actually for all the lives that we, because every time he says everything is born from him. So he is naturally the natural father, and mother is the parent for everyone, all the Lord. We always commonly say that we are God's children. And that's what this means, that he is the parent for all the beings. And he says in the Vedas, I am in the form of Pavitra Omkara. Omkara is a single syllable word for the Lord. And he says, Ruksam Yajurevacha. I am the Rig Veda, Sam Veda, and the Yajur Veda too. So we must try to see God everywhere in all the forms. That is what Lord Krishna is trying to tell us. Gatir Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Suruta Prabhava Pralaya Sthanam Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam. So God introduces himself and shows his 12 attributes. He says Aham Gatihi. So wherever there is any Gati, any change or any karma, he says I am there. Bharta, I am the nurturer of all. Aham Prabhu, I am the Lord. I am the Sakshi, Karmadhyaksha. I am the Nivasa, I am the whole home for everyone. Sharanam, I am the surrender place for all. I am Sruta, he says I am the friend who helps without any reciprocation. I am the Prabhava and the Pralaya Sthana, that is the birthplace and the dissolution place of this universe. And I am the Nidhanam of all these beings. I hold the karma. I am the Bija, the unmanifest seed from which the tree sprouts. But when we see the tree, we don't think about the seed from which the tree has grown. So that's how we are not able to see the Lord, but we see all these names and forms. And he says, I am Avyayam, I am the eternal, indestructible, unmanifest form. So essentially, everywhere we should try to look for God. Tapamyahamaham varsham nigruhnamrutsrujami cha amrutam chaiva mrutyuscha sadasajjaham arjuna. So as sun, he says, I give the heat, I hold the water for the rains as clouds, and then I shower it as the rain, as water. So he holds everything, he showers, he heats, evaporates everything. Essentially, in every form we should try to see the Lord. That is what he's trying to tell us. He represents Amrutam as well as Mrutyu. This is the Kala himself. In the 11th Adhyaya, in the Vishwarupa Darshana, Lord Krishna describes that he is the Kala himself. And I am an eternal, indestructible and an illusion, destructible. Sat, Asat, both I am there as both. Aham, Arjuna. So we should see that as Atma, as Anatma, as everything, Lord is there. And everything we should try to see Lord everywhere. Traividya mam somapa puta papa yagnairištva swargagatim prarthayante te punyamasadhya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. So here Lord Krishna describes the onward journey after death, which is into the heavens, heaven and the other higher lokas. So he says all the Vedic karmas which are described in 3 Vedas, these people who are doing it they also do yagnas, they pray for heavenly pleasures, and because of their punya, because of their virtues, they achieve this heaven, the Indra Loka or any other heavenly lokas. Then they enjoy the sense pleasures of all the heavenly enjoyments, just like all the devas, they enjoy these sense pleasures too. But what happens after that? In the next shloka he says, Te tam bhuktva swargalokam vishalam Shine punye martalokam vishanti evam trai dharma manu prapanna gata gatam kama kama labhante. So those people enjoy the sense pleasures of the grand heaven, and then Shine punye martalokam vishanti. So whenever the virtues, the punya comes to an end, because when you enjoy the bhoga, your virtues get, the punya, they are spent, and when it becomes empty, the wallet becomes empty. Then one has to come back to this Martya Loka, and they are reborn on this world. And that's why those people who do this, indulge in this kind of selfish actions just described in the 3 Vedas, in the Karma Kanda of the Vedas, and those who have the desires of these objects, Kama, so they have to come again and again, Gata Gatam, Gata Agatam, means they have to come again and again to this mortal world. And the selfish people continue the cycle of birth and death. From this, if we want to get out, we have to start getting into the selfless mode of action, which is the Karma Yoga, which is the Nishkam Bhavana Karma done by the person. Anantyas chintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyahmaham. This is a very, very beautiful and a very important central shloka of Bhagavad Gita. So Lord Krishna says here that Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. I carry the desires. Yoga means desire of achieving something. Whatever we don't have, we want to achieve this. This is called yoga. Prapta. Prapti of the aprapya means what we don't have, when we try to achieve this or accept this or attain this, that is yoga. And Kshema means whatever we already possess, whatever we already have, to protect these possessions. That is called kshema. And Lord Krishna says here that I carry these, the yoga and kshema of all those bhakta, those who remember me, anantyas chintayanto mam, those who remember me constantly with ananya bhakti, with single point devotion. Ye jana paryupasate, those people who worship me with an understanding. And what is that? That understanding is essentially that Lord is everywhere in this world. He is not just restricted to temple or a body or a form, but is everywhere. And those who are nitya abhiyuktanam, those who are always connected to me, Lord Krishna says, for them I carry the desires of achieving something that they don't have and protecting their possessions. So Paripasate essentially means worshipping me with understanding that Lord is everywhere, Sarvatra, is always there, Sarvada, and He is there in all the form objects, in all the form and objects, Sarvarupa. So this is what is the real understanding. And Tesha Abhiyuktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. The purpose of Gita Ji is to relieve humanity of their pain, misery, sorrows, because it starts with Ashochanam, Ashochastvam and ends with Mashucha. Both indicate that Lord is interested in taking care of our pains, miseries and sorrows. And He says, don't worry, I am already there, as I'll carry all your baggage, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyamam. You don't need to worry. I'm there, I'll take care of whatever you want, whatever you need, and whatever you have, I'll protect it also. So here, in reality, everything is created by the Lord. We are just instruments. We should see His grace and do our duty and remember Him and don't worry. That is what we should do. Do our best as Karma Yoga and leave the rest to the Lord for Him to give us the Karma Phala. Yepyanya devata bhaktya yachante shraddhayanvita tepi mameva kaunteya yajanta avidipurvakam. So difference between the worship between Maya and Devta worship, he says, those who worship other Devta, they worship with faith but without proper understanding, they actually are worshipping me alone. So essentially we need to understand that there is only one supreme divinity, but there is a system. He's created many Devtas for efficient functioning of all the systems, just like all the rivers meet one ocean. And this system is created for people with different faith, because somebody may like to devote to the Krishna form, somebody may like to devote to the Shiva, somebody may like to devote to a Mataji. So all these different forms are created because of the different, keeping in mind the different faith of the sadhakas. And all the devas are essentially the same. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, all they are essentially the same because the Paramarthik Swarupa is the same. And Supreme Divinity is one, but the manifestations are various, different. And those who worship these devtas unknowingly, Lord Krishna is telling us that they worship actually me. They don't know that they are worshipping me, but in those form I am only there. Aham hi sarva yagnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natu mama bijananti tatvena tascha vantite. So the unwise people do not get any real benefit or mukti, because Bhagavan says, for all the yagnas I am the bhokta, that is I am the receiver of all the ahutis, and I am the Prabhu evacha, that means I am the Lord of all the beings. And natu mama vijananti, the unwise people do not know me, they do not know the tattva, and that's why they miss this tattva. They chavantite means that they are not able to reach to their goals. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrun yanti pitru vrataha bhutani yanti bhutecha yanti madhyani jinopi mam. So here also he shows the difference between the benefit of worship of Devta and Ishwar. Those who worship the Devtas, they attain the Devaloka. Vrata devan yanti. Pitrun yanti pitru vrata. So pitru vrata, those who worship the Pitrus, they achieve Pitru Loka. Those who Bhutani yanti bhutecha. So those who worship the demons, the ghosts and other Rakshasi and Asuri Vritti, they attain their own lokas. But Bhagavan says that Madhyajina api mam yanti. Those who worship me as a real self, then they attain me only. In the next shloka, now for a few shlokas, Lord Krishna is trying to tell us how we can devote to Him, how we can do bhakti. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktyupahatam ashnami prayatatmanaha. So he says, Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, whatever is offered to me, he says, with devotion, with bhaktya prayachati. For the person, prayatatmana, for the one who keeps trying, tadaham bhaktyupayatam ashnami. That is whatever is offered to me with love, I accept it gracefully. So God does not see what is offered to him. He says anything is fine, even if you don't have a leaf or a fruit or a flower, or if you don't have anything, just toyam, pani, just water is sufficient to offer to me. But the bhava, how we offer it, the bhav behind this object is what is important. Bhagwan bhav ki taraf dekhte hai, he sees the bhav. So the emotions behind the devotion is very important, because most of the times we live an impulsive life with emotions, and we try to live a life of selfish love for people, try to control people, and we have a lot of love for the objects. But the devotion, bhakti, it takes us away from this worldly selfishness, and purifies our emotions and essentially channelizes them in the right direction, so that we can go from Jagata and go towards the Lord. So what this does is, this bhakti, it makes us more broad-minded, open-minded, thoda vishal hamara drashti, our vision enlarges, and our mind becomes more quiet, calm, and becomes still. And the name of the Lord, Nama Japa, Harinama, is a great tool to attain him in Kali Yuga. It is said that it is one of the most important devotional sadhanas for the bhakta, always to have chanting the name of the Lord, always remembering him. And the other thing is to offer him. Whatever is offered to him, he says, arpana is another way. Offering is to purify our own mind, because we have to offer a lot of things to the Lord. All our misconceptions, misperceptions, all our ego, we have to offer to the feet of the Lord, of all our attachments. And we have to understand that whatever we are offering to him is also whatever is given by him. Say we are offering a flower, that flower is also created by the Lord. So anything, all this, outer or inner, physically doing some puja, arti, going to a pilgrimage, all these are the ways to offer some kind of something to the Lord. And it may be in the form of the words, where we do his nama, japa, shloka, bhajana, arti, or by just offering some objects like flowers, fruits, everything. But the most important thing is that Lord says that should be done with love. It should not be done mechanically. And smaran itself, thinking of the Lord itself, is arpana. While we are doing any action, if we just think about the Lord and do his nam smarana, that itself is like arpana. That itself is offering that karma to the Lord, because this is not a stool thing. It cannot be offered. Karma cannot be offered to the Lord. So that's how God does not see the objects, but he sees the love behind these objects. And in the next shloka, Lord Krishna tells us what he wants, what we should offer him. Yat karoshi yadarshnashi yat juhoshi dadhasi yata yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. He essentially wants everything. He says, give me everything. Yat karoshi, whatever you do, whatever actions you do, karma you offer to me, whatever yat ashnasi, whatever you eat, yat juhoshi, whatever you sacrifice in the yagna, yat dadasi, whatever you give anything to anyone as a donation or a gift or anything, yat tapashyasi, whatever you do as a penance, some kind of a fast or whatever. O Kaunteya, badarpanam tat kurushva, you offer all that to me, he says. And that is what Lord Krishna says. How do we understand yat karoshi? How can we offer karma? So essentially offering karma means we do selfless karma. We do it for the benefit of others at large rather than just benefiting us. And we do it without the desires for the fruit of action, without the karma phala, without those desires. Essentially we do whatever best we can in the karma, which is the essential principle of karma yoga, because the karma is under our control, but the karma phala is not under our control. It is not our domain. So we should leave it to the Lord. For him, having the faith in the Lord that he has a system where I will be adequately compensated for whatever I do, and this is the basis of his devotion. This kind of faith in his system is the basis of the devotion. And our biggest enemy is the ego. And gradually, as we do more and more devotion, arpana, offering to the Lord, we always remember the Lord, smaran, and then we feel that it is his grace that is working, not just my efforts. I am doing it, but because of His grace, I am able to get these benefits, these fruits, these outcomes, these results. And this is how our ego gradually gets destroyed. So Arpana, during every Arpana, we should, during or after every karma, we should remember the Lord, that itself is karma, Arpana. And it is possible to offer everything to the Lord, but we have to start somewhere. And the easiest thing to start with is to do chanting, name, Nam Japa, Harinama, and at every point of time, every karma, we should take His name. Shubha Shubha Falairevam Mokshase Karma Bandhanaihi Sa Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimukto Mamupaishyasi. So naturally a question can come to our mind, that if I am going to offer everything to the Lord, what am I going to get in return? What will I get the benefits? So here Lord Krishna says, do all your karma with surrender bhavana, and you shall be relieved from all the bondage of karma due to the Shubha or Ashubha Phala, pious or the unpious, not so auspicious Phala or the fruits of this karma. You will be relieved, and you shall achieve the yoga of renunciation, Vairagya, Sannyasa Yoga, that is the Karma Yoga, and by liberation you will get liberated, you will get moksha, you will achieve me, you will attain me. And that is what is the goal for a devotee, that he wants to be one with the Lord, he wants to understand the Lord. And devotion actually does a lot of purification of the mind, and it gives a lot of ekagrata, stillness, focus of the mind, which is necessary for the sadhaka to do his sadhana. So all this is given to us by, and that's why the sadhana sadhya vivek, the difference between the goals and the means must be very clear. The goal is that we want eternal happiness, peace, that is moksha. And there are three ways: the karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, which helps us to attain to the divinity. And finally we must try to see divinity everywhere, because that is what Lord is trying to tell us. How karma causes bondage? Karma itself, the outer karma, does not bind us, but the attitude of the karma, our expectations, they bind us. And the results which we receive, either it is better or lesser than the expected, creates a kind of a sukha or a raga vritti or a dvesha vritti, dukkha. And these leads to the phala, the papa, punya, shubha, ashubha phala, and these leads to the rebirth and the cause of the bondage by the karma. So essentially raga, dvesha and the shubha, ashubha phala, these are the ones that cause the bondage of the karma. And to liberate ourselves from this cycle of birth and death is itself called moksha. And how devotion or bhakti leads to moksha? Because in devotion we do arpana, samarpana, ishwararpana, and there are no expectations. Whatever Lord gives us, we accept it gracefully as the prasada of the Lord. And gradually with this, our raga, dvesha, our own expectation, desires, they try to get nullified, they reduce, they are getting annihilated, and this purifies our mind, and this leads to the Atma Jnana. So this is how bhakti leads to Jnana, by purification of the mind, by nullification of a raga, dvesha. This is what karma yoga also does, bhakti yoga also does. And with this shuddhi, after this shuddhi, there is Jnana, which leads us to moksha. Samoham sarva bhuteshu na me tveshyosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mai te teshu chapyaham. So here when Lord says that with devotion, with bhakti, you are going to get Atma Jnana, and it will lead to moksha. Some people may feel that Bhagwan is doing pakshpat, he is doing some discrimination or is discriminatory. But if this question comes to our mind, Lord himself says here, no, I don't take any sides. I am the same for everyone. Samoham sarva bhuteshu. I am the same for all the bhuta. I am the same in all the beings. For all the bhuta, I am the same. I don't have any raga, dvesha. Nobody is very dear to me. Nobody is priya. Na dvesha. I don't dislike anyone. It says, anyone who bhajanti tu mam bhaktya, who devotes to me with a lot of devotion, bhakti bhava, they are in me, mai teshu chapyaham cha api aham, I am also in them. So te mai, they are in me, cha aham api teshu, I am also in them. What does this mean? It essentially means that Bhagavana makes him united with his bhakta finally, and with his own Atma Swarupa. He knows that I am the Lord are not different. That is the climax of bhakti. If we see the bhakti of Mirabai, Narsi Mehta, all these at the climax of that bhakti, they felt oneness with the Lord. So essentially they understand that God is all pervading, and for us sadhakas we have to change our vision to see him and we have to change from the outer world. We have to go more to the Sukshma and the inner world to understand the divinity of the Lord. Api chet suduracharo bhajate mamananya bhag sadhureva samantavya samyagavyavasito hi saha. So here Lord Krishna says that even if somebody feels that he has done lot of papa or done lot of durachara means bad deeds or some unethical deeds somebody has done, lot of durachara vices, but even such a person who worships the Lord with oneness, ananya bhag, mam bhajate mam ananya bhag, means he worships me with ananya bhakti, ananya bhav. So understand that this person is sadhu reva samantavya. Know that this person is like a sadhu, samyak avyavastito hi saha. He is determined his goal very, very clearly, that now God is my goal. I have already done some papa in the past, but now I am not going to do this. And essentially means that everybody is eligible for devotion or bhakti, even if this person has done many vices, papa or bad deeds has been done in the past, but even that does not stop us from doing bhakti of the Lord. Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shanti nigachati kaunteya pratijahnihi name bhakta pranashyati. This is a great solace by the Lord. He says, such a person, Shipram bhavati dharmatma, he soon becomes a great man. He walks on this path of dharma and leads to Shashvat Shanti Nigachati. He develops a lot of peace of mind, he develops eternal bliss, that is itself is moksha after Antakaran Shuddhi. And he says, Kaunteya, O Arjuna, Pratijanihi, know very well, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. He says, my Bhakta, my devotee is never ruined. I always make sure that he goes up and up in the ladder. He improves his life over his lifetime. And in difficulties, we should take shelter of the Lord so that we always go, our upliftment happens constantly. Mam hi parthavya pashvitya yepi syu papayo nayah striyo vaishyas tatha shudra tepi yanti param gatim. Oh Arjuna, he says, take my shelter. One who has many, many difficulties in life, like people like women, like Vaishyas who are involved in business, or Shudra caste, those who have many difficulties in life, anybody who finally devotes to me can achieve eternal salvation. So everybody is eligible for bhakti. Bhakti is not restricted to a chosen few. Kim puna brahmana punya bhaktara charsya shayastatha anityam sukham lokam imam prapya bhajasva mam. So what to talk about those people who are born in Brahmin caste? They have their own punya virtues, and the Kshatriya kings, Rajarshaya, those who become my devotees, even though they are born in this ever-changing anitya asukham lokam imam prapya, but when they do my bhakti, mam bhajasva, when they do my bhakti, they attain the ultimate moksha and liberation. So that is a salvation that we can get. So essentially, from the world, we have to go towards the Lord, because this human gift is a rare gift. Born as a human being, we should make the best of this gift and do mam bhajasva, devote to the Lord. And human life is though it is finite, it has the capability to attain this infinite Atma Swarupa, which is not possible in any other species. So we should use our intellect in the right direction and mam bhajasva. So essentially, any kind of bhakti, it could be saguna bhakti or it could be nirguna bhakti, we could do any kind of bhakti, but we should do it. And finally, in the last shloka, Lord Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktvaevam atmanam mat parayanaha. Manmana bhava, put your mind into me. So with your mind always think about me. It says mad bhakta, become my devotee. Madhyaji, do all the yagna karma for me. Mam namaskuru, bow down and surrender to me, and you shall attain me only. You shall know me. Mam vaishyasi yuktvaevam atmanam mat parayana. You shall know me as your own self, and you shall become a God-loving devotee, mat parayana. You will always be connected to me. There is no doubt about this. So with this we come to the end of the 9th Adhyaya. Om Tat Sat. Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade राजविद्या राजगुह्य योगो नाम नवमोऽध्यायः। सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज, अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः। So to recapitulate ninth Adhyaya, the first 6 shlokas talk about the highest secret knowledge and its glory and the pledge of the Lord that I am going to tell you, Gnanam Vijnana Sahitam. And then 7 to the 10 shloka, Lord Krishna talks about the origin of this world, how it comes through the Maya and how it dissolves into the Maya. 11 to 15 shloka, Lord Krishna talks about the wicked people, the unfaithful Ashraddha Dana, and those people Mogasha, Moga Karmana, those who, and then he glorifies people with the divine qualities, those Mahatmanastu, people who have Daivim Sampati, and then they do devotion. And then he talks about the glories, the vibhutis of the Bhagwan in different rupas, and finally talks about the benefits of selfish and selfless devotion. And in the last few shlokas it talks about the devotion, different types of devotions, and his glories of the selfless devotion, what are the ultimate fruits and benefits of the selfless devotion. So with this we come to the end of the ninth Adhyaya. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.